Dude,
Yes.
Jatinder, lovely to have you on, man.
Hey, brother.
Thanks so much for your time, bro.
Anytime.
How you do? I mean, we should probably do a quick recap. So, for people that don't know, we have a budding star amongst our midst today. My man's on the up and up.
Yeah, if you want to say that.
Let's not be too sour about it. I mean, my man, you do acting, obviously.
Yeah.
I tried to look. I think you also have a production company at A39.
939 Cinema.
939 Cinema.
Yeah.
Okay.
I started that with Cameron. When did that start? Oh God, you know, like when your head's all over the joint with, like, you know, when people ask you, like, tell me about your career and when did this happen? You're like, I have no idea, mate.
Nah, I get that. Like, especially in the acting world, things just happen and it's all a blur.
You just kind of like throw yourself against the wall and just hope something sticks over the years.
Yeah.
Things do here and there, but I think so. Cameron Strachan, that's his name. I went to high school with him. He's one of my best pals, and we started making films in like fifth year. Fourth year. But, what happened was the BBC came to our school and they did stuff, and eventually at the end, like, if you want to do this, you really want to be committed to it, then find someone in your year and start off that way. So me and Cameron,
find someone who's serious, who's committed. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Very much wanted to be a filmmaker at that point, and I wanted to be an actor, and we're both like, "Oh, do you want to make a film?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I think after that super weird conversation, we got time to be in the theatre in the school, and
did he like get that on one knee? Was like, "Do you want to be my De Niro?" And you're like, "Do you want to be my Scorsese?" And it's like,
funny enough, that's what's in our yearbook. Like, we put out like a bunch of fucking geeks. Like, that's what we put down. Like, which is mad because to this day we are still making films. But within the first week of meeting each other, we made our first film on an iPad, and it's called Orange Juice. And it was basically like a fucking, it's like a Tarantino Pulp Fiction rip-off with what they called Vincent and Vincent and the Vincent's John Travolta, right? So was Samuel Jackson.
Oh God, this is gonna annoy me so much.
He's nutting as well. But basically it was like that, and it's just these two guys in suits, and then at the end you see a dead body, and it was called Orange Juice because one of them guys was like, really fucking back in the day, high school, let's make something cool type of thing. Really no.
I've got this concept.
Style. No substance, just style. Yeah.
Yeah. Early days, it's always like, I have this concept. There's gonna be a concept film.
Yeah.
It's like you do, and it's like, did the story make sense? No, but that's the whole point, bro. It doesn't make sense.
And it doesn't have
keeps
to
you guessing.
Yeah. You do it on an iPad and that's it. You get done. But since then, like, I went off to do acting, and I graduated from New College, Lanarkshire, with a BA honours, and he went off to UWS to do filmmaking, and then during then we made loads of short films together, and we did things on our own as well, but we always came back together and just do shit.
Awesome, bro. I mean, I wanted to just finish the sentence because I bigged you up, but I didn't give the evidence of, like, when I said we have someone up in the up and up.
Yeah.
Because you not that long ago did Moorcroft, which was with the National Theatre of Scotland.
Yeah.
And obviously the big one, which we just finished, was Donmar Warehouse, Macbeth, with David Tennant in the lead. Nufa Salam, who played Macduff, who's also a friend of ours. So
that mate, I was looking back on it. I don't know if you can tell right now, I'm knackered, bro. I'm so tired, which I feel like is a very privileged thing to say after going back to back after two big shows. Moorcroft was like a whole journey in itself. That you're 24 now, so back in
because I had a little, not too deep of a dive, but I did some research, and I saw.
Oh, that's good to do. You know, you do your job, man.
Yeah. I know. So I looked at your spotlight, and I noticed that there was two different versions of Moorcroft.
Yeah.
2 different years.
I was in your spotlight too.
Okay.
So
in the base.
Just like, fuck, I'm about going on this guy's show.
Who's this mad cunt?
Yeah, I know. What's his name again? Well, all right. So all right. I met Ailey in 2019 in London when I was doing Peter Gynt at the National, and Ailey was a friend of Ryan, and they all went to Knightswood to get Ryan Hunter, and they all went to Knightswood together, and then they all went down to London for drama school, and people sticking together. We met at a house party, Ryan's house party, and then we just started chatting and became pals, and Ailey was in the National a few times, we were chatting, and then flash forward after COVID and all that happened, and when things were starting opening up again, I was doing this thing with Tron Theatre, which is very closed off COVID times, separate, but at the same time she was doing a development for Moorcroft, and we were chatting about it, seeing how it was going, development of the scenes, it was going great. I did my thing finished, and so on and so forth. And then I think towards the end of 21, I got an audition for it, and I was like, oh, that's mad. And I auditioned for it, and then I got cast. And 2022, we started rehearsals for it, and we didn't know what it was going to be, man. Like we.
I mean, just for the record, for people that don't know, this is about football.
Yeah. I don't know, mate. If you can look at me right now, you can tell I'm a fucking footballer. So even when Ailey cast me in it, I was like, you want me to be a footballer, and you also want me to be the best footballer in this team. So have you seen me?
I mean, hey, why not? Why not?
But I'm a big rugby lad. Like, I'm built like a fridge. Do you know what I mean? But I was like, cool. And it's about these 7 lads who grew up in Renfrew.
Council estate.
About working class lads during the 80s, where it was really dull and gloomy, and Thatcher was in charge, and everyone hated life. And it's based on Ailey's dad's story.
Completely different from today.
Oh yeah.
Today we're loving it.
Mate,
you know what I mean?
Sunshine and rainbows, baby.
Fucking smash it. I mean, you only have to pay 10 quid for a fucking packet of chewing gum, but other than that, life is fantastic.
That's great. At least your breath is fresh, bro.
You look on the bright
side. I'll pay for anything, man. But yeah, and then it's about these guys, and we were just doing it, and we were like, a lot of expectation was put on us because we were like young. We're all in our 20s, and like normally theatre in Scotland is like, especially to headline a show, and I mean house theatre, really opportunities are really given to people who have worked over the years, and like literally had to like punch at the door to start in like some small studio space, two-hand and so on. And Ailey, who's worked her arse off for the last 7 years, 7 years at the time, so 9 years, whatever, but it took her 7 years to get Moorcroft somewhere on a stage, and managed to get it in the main house theatre at the Tron. A lot of people, I felt like a lot of people were already going to be like, what's going on here? Why is this getting put on? A show about 7 guys and it's about football. Why would you put this on? Do you know? But like, luckily for us, we had the Tron's backing and Andy's backing, and Andy Arnold, the artistic director at the time.
Right.
And with us as well, luckily all the cast, and even is it the stage crew as well, they all knowing Ailey and knowing how incredible she is, and we were all, and knowing her story about her dad as well, we were all just really just passionate about wanting to tell us.
I mean, it's always funny when it comes to like the business side of theatre, because like on the one hand, like, oh, who wants to put on a play like that? On the other hand, a working class story about football in Glasgow. I wonder who would be the audience.
Right, exactly.
Who would want to see that in Glasgow?
It's just like, I'm all for putting on like the classics and putting on theatre and making weird shit, but also at the same time, like, we're in a bubble in the arts. We kind of forget that sometimes we need to make theatre for people who aren't in the arts. I feel like we put on a lot of stuff that can appease a certain crowd and be like, look how creative and magical we can be with this, and you're like, can we just tell a story about working class people?
I mean, just tell a true story, and it will resonate. And and there's some fantastic stories. Like, if you want drama, If you want to talk, I mean, it reminds me of Fences, right? For me, it's one of the most beautiful plays, and like I've seen the film with Denzel Washington, and that's again, it's like a working class story in like a city, you know, in America.
Fences is incredible. I did a scene from that in my showcase.
So heartbreaking.
It's brutal, especially the father and son dynamic.
Yeah. But it resonated, like that kind of took me back home to like East Romania, growing up in the 90s.
Same with me, with my dad. Like my dad was hard on me. Yeah. You know, like I think with a lot of kids with a certain background, like, you know, I watched the scene with James Earl Jones was doing it.
Okay, is that the I don't have to like you?
Yeah, I don't have to like you. Like I remember watching that scene, I was like, this is a conversation I've had. I'm pretty sure, man, like I've had this conversation, and I was like, wow. But like you say, stories like that would resonate with anyone, and like especially when you surround it in like a working class story with football in this city alone. Do you know? Doing a show about that's going to get people in, and the Tron did a really interesting survey that when we first started Moorcroft and the tickets sold, 50% of the audience have never set foot in a theatre before. Never. And for that to be their first show to see, they were instantly like, yeah, we want to come back again. So it's a testament to not just the show we made, but the story that Ailey brought to stage has brought people that would never even think about going to a theatre in that building, and that's why we do what we do on stage.
No, it's interesting, but it's always like sometimes when they tell working class stories, they want to dumb them down a bit. Almost like there's genuine drama in the working class life. Like mine it, tell it, you know. Well, like and there's plenty of people that want to tell those stories as well.
I don't want to speak broadly, but from my perspective, and especially I've worked in many levels of theatre now. Like there is a major class issue, and you to word this without sounding pure like a dick, but a lot of people you see in charge, a lot of people that you meet, a lot of people that give the money, you're just like you don't have a concept of, I don't want to say struggle, everyone struggles in their own type of way, you don't, like, you can tell when you speak to someone, like, you know, like their parents have never argued over money about spending stuff in a month. And like in the arts it's very much like that, because you see it with the articles with Guardian and a lot of working class actors way beyond my generation talking about how now it's become like a hobbyist thing. Yeah,
Eccleston talks a lot about Christopher Eccleston. Well, yeah, had a bunch of comments about that.
Necessarily, they're not wrong most of the time. I think for us in Scotland, we've got an okay balance.
Yeah,
there's a lot of opportunities for working class people. What I say a lot, that I don't know. To be quite frankly honest, I won't really know the numbers. We're still early days. We've still got a lot to work through, but I think it is getting better.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough, man. I get what you mean though, because like maybe this is I'm someone who's came over to the UK for acting, and I've learned a lot of lessons starting to do stand up about, you know, putting yourself forward and networking, and I've realised that I didn't necessarily do those things in the acting world, but I have noticed that, for instance, for me, stand-up seems to be quicker and just easier to navigate, simply because it doesn't need that big of a, you know. Yeah. I just need a mic, my jokes, and an audience. Yeah. Right. And like, there's no rehearsal space. Yeah. There's no, you know, things like that.
And like, also with, I guess, with stand-up as well. Like, again, with theatre, with the stand-up is generally it's a performance for every person. While theatre should be like that, however, it's not these days anymore, because that's down to education as well, and a social structure we live in, and also inaccessibility in terms of affordability.
Yeah, I mean the London prices for theatre can be scary.
Yeah, like our show, the Donmar, the most expensive ticket was 70 quid, right?
I mean, that's for London.
That's for London. Cheap. That's incredibly cheap. And you know, I think Andrew Scott spoke about this recently, but he was like, even for his show Vanya, people were paying £150 for a ticket, and he's like, I don't understand how we can get new people in because not an average working class person can afford that. It's like how no person in the right mind would be like, yeah, I gotta spare 150 quid, let me go see theatre. No person working paycheck to paycheck would think like that.
And it's not like you can see with films, I'm sorry, I don't condone it necessarily, but with films you can pirate them. You can't do that with theatre, you know. There's no like, here's a cam version of this really cool play.
But it's true though.
Don't pirate.
Yeah. I mean, no, I'm kidding. I mean, like, it's so...
I'm Romanian, no comments.
I'm Indian, bro. We've got this. But there's like, with cinema like that, I mean, I love filmmaking as well. I get with my company. Like, we actually, like, me and Cameron, we got funding from Creative Scotland to make our short Worlds Apart. And that it talks about a class issue, and it follows a guy called Danny who is uncomfortable with his low class status around the people he's with, and feels like he needs to put it on and pretends he's from someone with a bit of background. And it starts off with that, speaking to people from a higher class background, the conversations we've had with people over the years, and you're like, oh god, that's mental, you said that. And then he goes to pay for a train ticket from the West End, but he doesn't have enough money, so he needs to walk from the West End of Glasgow to the East End. And through his little journey, you see him changing, like physically, like his clothes and all that, to then, because he knows he's going back home, he knows he can't look a certain way when he goes back home, because people will be like, why do you look like that for? What's going on here?
Where you think you're going?
Yeah, exactly, you know. But in the way he meets people on the way in his life, and he comes to a point and he's just like, this is not what I want to be. Why am I pretending? Why am I pretending?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, that, because like, thinking back, I would think I was over it, but sometimes you're still like, you've dealt with it, most of it, but every now and again you get like a little flash of it. Like, you go into your room you didn't think you'd end up in, and you suddenly feel so tiny, and you feel like everybody knows everybody, even though they don't. Like, I'm aware that's my head kind of, you know, fucking with me. It's not their fault, you know? But it is a thing. Like, it took me I had to recognize it. Like, I come from a working class family in Romania, so like, even by Romanian standards we're kind of poor, do you know what I mean? So it was very much, some venues to me just what felt like, just walking into it, you're like touching the fucking table, the fucking door handle, you're like, oh yeah.
Well, me, like, I was probably given the biggest test of that when I was working at the Donmar. Like, you are doing a Shakespeare show in the West End of London, and the client, and again, even though the tickets are cheap compared to most in the West End, they're still quite expensive for an average person. So some of the people that you meet, you're genuinely like, oh man, you're like rich. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like someone who's never, our bubbles would never, our circles would never have crossed unless I was performing for you. Like, do you know?
That's the power of theatre, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's it. And like, you know, that doesn't make someone necessarily evil or horrible. No, you don't know a person's background and why they got to that position.
Like, they didn't choose, we didn't choose.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
But you're just like, oh, you can tell the differences, especially in Britain. Like, the class system is what makes this country alone, and I do include all provinces, provinces, because we're not provinces, all countries in the union. Like, we've got posh bastards here.
It's you can hear it. Like, I'm pretty sure I say this, but some of my colleagues are like quite young, and you hear them like have a massive tragedy about like the simplest thing. And there's a part of me like, oh, and there's a part of me like, really? My dress wasn't ready for my party, and I had to wear my second favorite dress, and it was like, oh, I look like shit, and you're like, it was still a fucking Versace, Gucci, whatever, like, what the fuck are you moaning about?
And like, again, not, I don't want to make it off as a passing judgment. We all have our different struggles, we all have our different you know, triggers within life that's going to make us freak out. You know, if that's something for you, that's something for you, and something completely different for me is different for me. It's just like, it opens your mind from where I come from, where I grow up, to be like, oh, God, there are different levels of
yeah.
This is actually very apparent, because I like to think when I was younger you could be a bit more naive to it, like it doesn't matter, you know, because like, let's not lie, mate, we want to be in a position in life where we're comfortable, where we're like that. I want to be in a position in life where I can be like,
I mean, I wouldn't say no to it,
well, no, exactly, like where I could be like, yeah, I could spend 150 quid on a ticket, like I would not shun that away at all. Because that to me also means that I'll also be in a position in life where I can take care of my mother and my father, and maybe buy my nephews a really nice present for Christmas, you know. It's just, I guess when we talk about this, we're talking about like the uber 1% of people who are purposely fucking over our guys, people like us in our possessions, so they can just buy another super yacht. And you go, did you really need that? You know, did you really need that? Nah. How much time do you actually spend in water? Okay.
Can you even swim?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like, it's... How the fuck did we get on this?
I don't know.
I lost my train of thought.
I know, we started talking about, obviously, the Donmar Warehouse, and it became a thing about the class
well,
system.
I had to do a lot of sponsor events, you see, where...
It all started with Moorcroft.
It did start with Moorcroft. Oh yeah, the class thing.
Yes, there we go. Football and class.
Fucking keep back, man.
That's what we're talking about,
baby.
Yeah, we're back in business.
Yeah, but yeah, having a show like Moorcroft and then doing a show like Macbeth, it shows you like the different levels of like, oh god, this is where we are at this theatre. And like, again, nothing against the Donmar as well, because they've just got their funding cut, and the people, oh god, man, the people who are the fundraising team, they are absolute units. They are on it. Phone calls, emails, invites. They are proper good at their job, and they have done absolute wonders to keep that building going and keeping people employed, which is the most important thing about any organisation, is to make sure people are still in work. Especially for arts organisations.
Yeah, it's...
You know, we've been through it, mate, especially post-COVID, with the Arts Council in England and Creative Scotland up here having to reduce funding. We knew how many people were laid off from their jobs. It's awful.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't an easy time. Like, it wasn't an easy time for anybody.
Yeah, of course.
Again, this is us being artists now. You know, we had it so hard. Everybody had it hard.
Yeah.
But for artists specifically, because you couldn't have the job entails there being an audience next to each other.
And like, it's close to us as well, because I knew so many people that I was close with, and they just lost their jobs, and you're like, oh wow. And also like for us to be like all that messaging about you gotta retrain, and I'm like fuck, I'm gonna retrain. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what I work my arse off to be. This isn't like a Fox job for me. This is my career. You know,
or your calling. Like, I don't know about you, but like for me, like the biggest wake up call was I'm doing a monologue at like fucking 1 a.m. in an empty theatre to my half drunk coach.
Yeah.
And I do it 2-3 times, and the third time you fucking feel it, and there's that little voice in your head that goes, you're gonna be doing this for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Well,
whatever comes, you're doing this, and you're like,
it's a vocation. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what people say. It's a vocation, and like, I've come to a stage in my life where, like, I've worked really hard, you know, and I've got to allow myself to know that I worked really hard, because like, again, like the start when you're saying like I'm upcoming and all that, I'm just like, but I do need to identify that doesn't, it's a percentage of like whatever luck and be in the right place, but I've worked. I've had to work really hard. I had to work harder than a lot of people can imagine, because you know, when you see my exterior when you first meet me, you go, this guy's mental. This guy's
I thought you were the life of the party, frankly.
Exactly,
in a good way.
And people would
take it from another mental kind.
But people would be like, how does this guy actually focus? Does he have an attention span? But like the other side of you, the work that people see us do is probably like 20% on stage, you know what I mean? But it's everything else that comes behind it. It is the emailing,
the networking,
it is the networking, it is the chatting, it is the rehearsal time, it's what you do with that script and go like, this is what I'm going to do. And sometimes it could be 100%, oh, the flow, this is easy, but most of the time it's solid. And like, I really struggled in Donmar for the first 4 weeks, because I had to really do something new with this character, and make sure I wasn't shit, because the Porter scene's incredibly difficult, and most of the time with Macbeth people will just cut it because you don't necessarily need it. It doesn't really add anything to the plot. It's more of a device for the audience, and I think I was really fortunate that I had a strong team behind me, and they gave me the ability to just be like, play with it, just play, just see what happens with it. And I had the luxury of dipping in and out of Shakespeare and into contemporary, so and the headphones as well added a new dynamic as well, because it's just a thing for people to be like, what is this? I'm going to watch some Shakespeare and you make me wear headphones in the theatre where people are like chatting right into my ear.
Oh, is that a thing? I haven't seen the production.
So like Max Webster, the director, had an idea about setting Macbeth and having the audience really be inside the heads of Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, and exploring PTSD and trauma, especially what would it be like for a soldier coming back from war, and also for him and his partner to lose a child, and what mental health effects would that have on a couple. And we didn't have witches in this play. Instead it was headphones, and the headphones was to replicate what a person going through a traumatic voice, your inside voice,
the intrusive thoughts.
It's exactly that. And what you hear from the witch's dialogue is the intrusive thoughts in your head, and you go, is this what Macbeth's thinking? Is he actually seeing witches, or is it in his head? Is it what we known as superstition back then is actually known as a trauma response today?
Trauma response, or a mental health challenge issue, whatever.
And with the headphones, we were all mic'd, and we were given the ability to not just have that, but also be like able to like whisper on stage, for example. And like the person the furthest away seat can literally
that's quite
hear you.
That's quite cool.
Yeah, so like with having that extra, I don't know, what's the word, like
device.
Device. I was given the ability for this Porter scene to like just do what I can and be wide with it, and I mean, I think it paid off. I mean, a lot of people said it did, so just got to trust them, and again, trust yourself.
Nice. How did it feel to be rubbing shoulders with good old David Tennant there, pal?
Just to start off with everyone in the cast, like to work with those individuals, from David to Noof and Moyo, Kush and Cal, everyone, I can name the whole cast, but everyone was incredible. I've been part of really special rooms and processes, but to go into something like this, it felt like we had an uphill battle, because we were doing something completely different. We're dealing with something with a completely different realm of technology and implementing that to a theatre space, and you're going to have a lot of theatre purists, and you're going to have a lot of people really skeptical about walking into what this is. Is this going to be a gimmick? So we all had to individually be like, right, we've got to focus, we've got to mind straight, and we've got to absolutely trust the process and see where this leads us. And working with these people, these exceptional performers, has been one of the best learning curves ever as an actor, performer, person, myself. Everyone was generous, everyone was talented, everyone was just so nice.
I mean, I've seen some of the clips on the socials, and it did look like what you dream about, just the friendly fucking
that was it.
creative space that you want.
A company, like, I can't describe it anymore. We were a company, and like, obviously with your leads, Lady Macbeth and Macbeth, you have to entrust people to lead that as a performer. I'm talking like a pure the plainest form. As any form, everyone looks at you leading performers, and David and Kush did amazing, like, which they would, because they're Kush Jumbo and David Tennant. Like, if you want to have faith in anyone, you're going to have faith in them. And for me to have the ability to sit down and watch them two work is a massive honour for a young actor like me. I mean, like, David already knows this as well, but I told him, I was like, mate, in college we studied you, like, and now I have the opportunity to share a stage with you. That's a massive privilege that I have, you know, and not a lot of people in my generation, people who graduate, a year below, above even, like, you know, it's really minimal to be able to share stages with people that you admire.
Yeah, no, it's a unique moment. It's a beautiful moment because you know, all the things that you build up in your head, you get to see it play out live, and it's also, you pick up the things that you can't see in an interview.
Of course, yeah, and like I say this as a performer, but also like it's just more special for the people around me, like my family, for example. They were so happy.
I was gonna ask, so what did the parents say? But they're like, whoa.
I said this today as well, like, because I hope everything I say is not cringe or whatever. But like, me and my mum used to watch him on telly. That's what, especially with me growing up. That he was my generation of growing up. Of like, just young.
I mean, I've seen his work, you know, especially, and if you would watch Doctor Who as a teenager, then
of course, And when I told my mum that I got the job, first she was happy I got a job, but two, to see where I was, you know, it was just nice, man. It was just nice to, I can't describe it more. It's just a nice feeling, and nice to be able to just be in a position that I know that, okay, maybe things are going to be okay. Yeah, and
it's always like
out, you know.
That's the funny thing about acting, is that it's this weird. It's an upward trajectory, but it's not a straight line. Sometimes it's like the victories are followed by massive defeats, and then there's like something middle, and then there's another defeat, then there's something big, and then it's back down, and it's up again. But overall, it's like, you know, it's that heartbeat.
It's true though for anyone. Unless for like a high 1% of whoever you are, you're going to get way more knockbacks than you are going to get like offers, and that's something you're just going to have to take on the chin. And it comes with I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know what it comes with.
I mean, that's been the eye-opening lesson for me as well.
Yeah.
There's no moment from where you go, right, smooth sailing from here on out. You know, I don't have to worry anymore. It's like, okay, maybe there's certain things you don't have to worry about as much. Like, your name is known. Maybe you don't get to audition for everything. You audition for bigger things. Yeah. But like, to me, the go-to example is Matt Damon turned down Avatar. Yeah. Right? And then he turned down not only Avatar, but also a percentage of the gate. So he could have been making a big chunk of that. I don't know. Was it $1 billion, $2 billion, $1 billion, $2 billion? But it's like, it's over $1 billion, the Avatar made, right? But the idea being is that, you know, just because you're a higher level, you get to make bigger mistakes. Yeah. You know, because you're gonna try bigger things.
It's all about, I don't know, I guess it's the gamble you take and where it takes you.
It's risk and reward. You know, there's going to be bigger risk, but it's going to be bigger rewards as well.
Absolutely, man.
But you fall back to, you know, like your baseline is higher than it was before.
Yeah. I was speaking to someone recently about this. Like, I think it would be this year 7 years now since I graduated and I've been a professional actor.
7 years, well done.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I mean, actually, hang on. I finished in 2017 December. So this is going to be 7 years for me.
7 years for you.
In this December.
Yeah, baby, look at that.
Yeah.
And we're still here. I mean, we're smiling.
We're still in the fucking business. Are you okay? You said that.
I'm alright. Yeah, I think so. Just like fried all the time. But,
I mean, and you didn't have like a traditional path into it either.
Nah.
Right? Because because of the spotlight, you said Langside College?
No, New College Lanarkshire.
New College Lanarkshire. Sorry, I got those two confused. But like, so I moved here like in 2013, and a lot of passion. And I was like, I'm gonna go to RCS. I'm gonna go to the biggest school in the town. You know, all that. I showed up, and I was shit, and I didn't get in.
Yeah. I think a lot of people could say that.
I was. You know. And then I remember, I'm going around. I'm studying in different courses. Then I have a fire in my flat. I moved down to England. I'm still doing like part-time courses here, there, everywhere. And then I moved back up and I ended up studying in a place called Acting Coach Scotland, which was a lot smaller studio, right? But I just remember thinking at that time of like, you know what? I don't need the big glitz and glamour. I don't need the big name. I just want to stage wreck and experiment and figure this acting shit out for myself.
Yeah.
And I got that. But there's always that little voice in your head of like, you know, but RCS, you know, but RCS. And I was just wondering, for someone who, again, worked your ass off, didn't go that route, you know, how did you find it? How did you find the industry? Do you ever feel like, oh, I wish I had gone to the big glitzy?
Sometimes, like, that thought does come across.
And again, it is something that I'm aware that it's not necessarily what's being put into it. It's sometimes my own insecurity piping up.
Well, the same as well, dude. Like, and also, like, put it into me because my parents wanted me to go to get a degree because it's college or conservatoire sounds better. And for an Indian parent,
because it's French, you know, it automatically sounds French.
You know what I mean? But like, to reflect back, like, even when I was at college, every year you still had to audition to get into second year and third year.
Oh, interesting.
So that's what kept us on our toes to be on it. And when I auditioned every year, I still auditioned for drama school because in my head I was like, got to do drama school. And every year the first year I auditioned.
So how many times did you audition for? So 3 times for RCS as well?
So yeah, 3 times for RCS while simultaneously auditioning every year.
That is, dude. I admire that hustle, bro.
Well,
like, not.
This is what it's hard to explain. Like, I didn't do that young. Got to travel. Got to do this. Do that. All my money was trying to get into a drama school.
I think once you get that bug, you're like, boom. I know what I'm doing.
Well, exactly, yeah. Like, I all the money I got from whatever student loans and finance, whatever, was book my buses, book my drama college application, get QCAS sorted, pay 60 quid for this application, 70 quid for that. Mate, I went all the way to fucking New York for Juilliard. Like,
oh my god!
I did my video audition for them, and they told me to fly over. So I spent Christmas to work as a next Christmas temp, so I could get an extra 250 quid to go towards a ticket to New York. And like, all my money literally went into that. And it got to a point where in my second year, towards the end of I was put in the reserve list for my BA at New College, Lanarkshire. Right. So I didn't have a space, and part of me was a bit raging because I was like, I fucking worked my arse off for this, and you put me on a reserve list.
And also, it's like we all like, I know I'm good enough.
Yeah,
I know I'm good. Let me at him.
And you have
come on.
People around you going like, "Man, I don't get that." No. You just in your head, you just like fucking want to put your head through a wall. And I got to a point where I was like, God, do I want to keep auditioning? I know it's for some people, but for me, I was like, do I want to keep auditioning to then just train again? Or do I just want to just say, fuck it, like, let's graduate this year and let's just try it? And, you know, eventually I got onto the BA course and I just went, right, I'm on that BA course. And I still had recalls for other schools at that point, and I just went, not going to go.
So the recall was for Juilliard?
No, not for Juilliard. The recall, I can't mind. I think it was Guildford and a few other places.
Okay,
I can't
the
really
fancy
mind.
places.
London, like somewhere in London. But I just went no. And it's mad to think, because I was 21. I was going to turn 21 when I graduated. And I was like, I don't want to be 25 or 26 when I graduate. I want to be 21 and just try it. And if I don't get anywhere, then fuck it, I'll try drama school again or whatever. But I was like, I want to make sure I'm young and going into it. May not be experienced, but I want to be young and I want to build up my experience. And for graduating with college, they were like, think of a 5-year plan. What are you going to do in 5 years? And then I did. And I was like, do a French show, get an agent, be in telly, do a job at the sets. And I was like, that will be a 5-year plan, because to me that's realistic in this industry, which I think it is. But I did it within 6 months of graduating, and I was like, what do I do? Like, you know. But then afterwards of doing that, I didn't work for like 8 months. after the set, I didn't, because that's reality.
Yeah.
And then after that,
you don't have to tell me. I'm saying on my second TV role and crickets.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's reality, though.
But this is how this came about. This was like, I'm keeping creative. I'm,
of course.
Talking to people, learning about life, learning about me and other creatives.
Yeah, and that's why I got the film company with Cameron. Like he started off with our friends at uni, but they all met at uni. They started a film company, and then I was like, can I join it? Joined it, and then I became eventually a partner of it, and we just started making films. And I was like, okay, that's my way of being creative, and I want to start writing again. So I used to be able to write really well, and then I stopped. I don't know why, but I want to start writing plays again. I want to write more shorts. I want to make my applications. So that's how I think this year's going to turn out. But I've just from that point onwards, I'm really happy that I didn't go to a drama school. I'm really proud that I can be a wee working class brown boy from Glasgow to not have to go to a drama school but find his own path. Then be able to be on these stages.
You can be like, here's this selfie with David Tennant, how you doing?
Well, that's it. That's the fortunate stuff, and I've been very fortunate to be in rooms with people that I admire and who I wanted to work with, and to see where it goes further, and hopefully I want to be in a position where I can give back into this industry as well, and see what opportunities that I can help people with, because I think the beautiful thing about this industry is you can give as much as you take, and you can share your experience with someone that needs it. We were talking about Newfoundland Oil, for example, working with them in this show, they've done nothing but be generous with their time and their advice, and I genuinely can't help but love them, because they are two deeply caring people, and I care about them deeply.
Yeah, and obviously people don't know this. It's not they advertise in it, but they've been very kind and with their time and their advice and with their
and to me, I said this to Noof. I was like, because Noof has been away from Scotland for a while now. I said to him, your name for me floats about here a lot, and a lot of people look up to you, and I've heard about you a lot. And I met him years ago for the Peter Gent, David Heyman's Peter Gent development week, and that's how we met. And then we just didn't. I passed it and cross again. So when I saw his name on the sheet, I was so buzzing for that. Because I couldn't wait to meet him again, and want to meet him, to see him again and chat and build a relationship with him, because he is a brilliant man. And also working with people like Benny Young as well. He's a powerhouse. Benny's incredible. He's got the wealth of experience. This man has done nothing but act for the last 50 years. That's the dream.
That's what we're working towards.
Exactly.
Acting, comedy. I'm not gonna lie. I do have the stand-up bug.
Yeah.
And I did realize that I fell in love with acting, and then I also found stand-up, and now I'm sometimes cheating on the one with the other.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sort of be just get along, just let's make this a working throuple, please.
That should be your ability to do whatever you want. That's why we're artists. That's why we do
it has
this,
been done,
I think now because everything's so regimented these days, people like to shove you in a box and be like, that is you. You're Silas the actor, you're Silas the stand-up, you're Silas the filmmaker, you're Silas. But you can be the creative. I agree. As wanky as it sounds, and I pure fucking hate when I say this, but when I was studying and I was about to graduate, I was like, you're not an actor, Jatinder, you're a practitioner. That's what you are. You're a practitioner of the arts, and whatever you fancy doing, you should, delve towards.
Give yourself the liberty to do so.
Exactly. And if I want to be an actor, great, being an actor. But if I want to try my hand at writing something, then why can I not also be a writer? Everything stems back to the one thing, and that's just making work and getting and expressing yourself.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I'm a big believer in it all feeds into each other.
Yeah.
And I know this is a very art-specific conversation, because we're both, passionate about what we do.
Yeah.
But I think it applies to a lot of things. you know, I'm not gonna say, you know, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm also, I don't know, fucking space engineer.
There's loads of that. Like
but there's figure out what's around your thing.
And that's the beautiful thing about art. Like, it shouldn't necessarily have to be a for-profit thing. We do it because it's a job, right? But most people, like, you can't just do it because you want to do it.
Absolutely.
Like example,
do it for fun. Do it for fulfillment.
Yeah, exactly. Just do it. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, if you really don't want to make money from it, but you just want to make some music, then make some music, man. You know, you just don't know where it leads. But you know, we live in unfortunately, what if you do make music and it happens to be good? We live in a capitalist commercial society where a producer would be like, actually, that's got loads of views. Of course, I'm going to pay this person to make more, so I can make more money. But at the end of the day, if you love it, you're going to do it, right? Like I think I followed them, but recently I was on TikTok and I hate TikTok, but
we all have a lot of relationship.
Yeah, it's fucking mental. But sometimes you genuinely find really cool things, and I found this band who are junior doctors, but they make music on the side, and they're brilliant. And you're like, I wouldn't have discovered that if it wasn't with, you know, these guys who are in such a terrible, tough industry, but the way they get through it is setting a band together.
I mean,
making music, man.
They get cool. Shafted by the government twice.
Exactly. Like, you know, like, they can't fucking buy your dinner with applause. You know what I mean? I mean, we can't.
Exposure, mate.
You know, we're on stage, and that's what, you know. But it's cool. You know, it's just like, just if it can apply to people like that, it should also apply to people like us as well.
Nice. I'm curious about something, and I thought I'd ask. It has been interesting right now watching, you know, I just moved to the UK 10 years ago, but I've noticed that the way the UK tells stories is shifting, because now it's becoming more open, and it's kind of allowing immigrants, allowing people that didn't get the chance to, you know, have their voice heard, getting their voice heard now. But at the same time, while this is happening, there's also like pushback as well. And I just, as someone who's involved in the arts and who will be affected by this, how you manage it? How do you handle that? Again, I'm a newbie. I'm like fresh off the fucking boat like 10 years ago, so I'm still like taking it all in.
Well, like, what's an interesting chat the other day, my mum and my aunt were talking about it, Matt. They were talking about a TV show came out, and one of the lead South Asians, and you see more South Asians getting exposure now. My auntie was like, "Oh yeah, you tend to see more now these days." And she was like, and she looked at me because I'm the youngest. I was the youngest in my family. Now I've got 2 little cousins and 2 nephews.
So they're coming for your spot?
Yeah, they're taking my little cute little sibling spot away. But
you don't get all the attention.
Yeah, I know. I used to get fed a lot, and now they kick me out of the fucking house. What would they say? But my aunt turned around to me and said, "But when Jatinder was little, there was none. There was nothing like that." And I thought that was really interesting, because there is a shift. There is a visible shift now.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm just like, how not generous, but how genuine it is, because it's all well being seeing that on camera, but what do the writers' rooms look like? What are the stage and camera crew people? What do they look like? We're talking about lighting a lot. I had an interesting conversation with people of colour and our backgrounds, and talking about how sometimes we can be lit, and you're like, why do we look so whitewashed? And it's happened quite a few times, because like, you see sometimes you go, and you're like, that's not my skin tone. Like, that's completely. I look ashy. Why do I look ashy?
Yeah, again, because they don't have necessarily the experience. Or the knowledge.
Like some people, like, what was it? An interesting video essay, but they were talking about, I think, moonlight, and the poster on that, it's like a purple, turquoise, and something else. But they were saying for darker skin tones, those are the perfect colours, you know, to highlight on stage if you want to do something like that. If you, especially like for me, I realised if you put a very cold light on me, I look really whitewashed, but if you put like a warm colour, like a warm light on me, I look like normal.
Yeah, like you look like who you look like in real life.
Like, so it's interesting to see stuff like that. For me as an actor, it's I see more opportunities, but like, for example, and this is not me moaning, but it's just the reality. I don't get as much self tapes or auditions as people who are white in this country, and it's true. It might seem mad for me saying it as well, because when I speak to people are like, "Oh, Jatinder works all the time." I don't work all the time. It does look like I appear to work all the time, which I thank God I do work as much as I do, but I don't get 5 or 10 self-tapes within a week. I know in reality it's like that for a lot of people, but for people, I guess now in my position, who do work, like, compared to people like I've been in cast with, like someone's like, "Oh, I've just done my 3rd or 4th self-tape this week." I'm lucky to get maybe 2-3 a month.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting. Again, in my perspective being, see, my people, the Eastern Europeans, or if you want to be specific, Romanians, we've only been in the UK for like, Romanians 10 years, Poles, 2008, like 20 years tops, when there was a massive shift in like the consciousness of like, the Eastern Europeans are coming, you know? And it's been interesting just seeing how the culture's trying to deal with that, because like in the beginning there's nothing, then you get all the gangsters and the criminals and all that, and now I started getting auditions where it was like, instead of East European criminal, it's Eastern European police officer. Yeah. So it's starting to get us in for those roles. Yeah. So you're like, okay, right, so we're not just the bad guys now, but we're still somehow around crime. Yeah. But it's it's growing. But then
it's the same as well, and like for us as well.
Yeah, so I'm just like looking forward when they figure out that most of the hospitality sector is Eastern European. I'm not going to say most, but you're going to find an Eastern European in some restaurant somewhere. And I was just like, it's curious sometimes. Like you'll watch a show and you're like, this is a series about, let's say, the hospitality sector. Not a single Eastern European showed up in it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Funny.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it doesn't mean it have to be.
That's what I'm talking about. What does reflect these writers' rooms? I'm not saying they're bad writers, but like, is there a like support system for people like that? Let's say you're in a writing room, like I'm a writer that I don't have any experience with, and I go and approach the company. Like, can you put me in these places so I can speak to people to get a better idea of what does this environment look like, instead of me writing from my own general experience? I'm a supporter for that. That's why I support, like most than anything, for an organisation to like give a writer an ability to do that. For me necessarily, I don't need someone who's South Asian to write a story for me. I just need someone who's capable of being open enough to, let's say, go to the Gurdwara one day, speak to a bunch of Sikh people, Punjabi people, and then come back and write a story and get consultation to see, is this accurate enough? That's what I think we should really be striving for. More. Yes, obviously have people like us and our backgrounds in these rooms as well that can write it, who are creative enough to write it, but necessarily due to culture there's not enough right now. There's not enough. I'm only a handful of Scottish actors up here. I could probably name like 5, maybe 10 tops off the top of my head that I know that work, but we still don't get as much work as our counterparts who aren't South Asian and such.
And it's all, again, it's a weird one now, because there's a big emphasis now on authenticity, sometimes people are even afraid of, like, if they even dare to experiment and they'll fuck it up, then they get flack for that. And
I tell you now, mate, like if I was approached by a big, let's say, film production company to write, do you think you write a script about a really authentic South Asian story? I could be like, about like, well, no, probably not, because I don't necessarily have the experience of writing compared to someone else. I could probably come in and consult and help you and write some dialogue and do stuff like that. But to helm that, I'm not in a position for that yet. But start me off small, and then let's see where I am in a year, and then I could probably do that for you. That's where I guess I think we need to strive more for this industry, for us to grow and be better.
Yeah,
as well.
I mean, I'm also like, I'm very aware, again, like I'm speaking from my perspective of like the timeline, like looking back, you know what I mean, like 20 years is a short amount of time in culture for like my people to start showing up, you know, sort of authentically.
Well,
I mean, because you know, there were Sikhs in World War One, you know, and we're still arguing about whether or not there should be in a fucking film about World War One.
Did you see that about, what was that, Pratt, what's his name, Lawrence Fox, complaining about a Sikh soldier in, what was it, 1917?
Probably,
it was just a background artist as well, and he was fucking moaning about that. And I was like, you live in London, mate. I literally went to a restaurant in Covent Garden, right, a Punjabi Indian restaurant. I walk in, as soon as I sit down, and onto my right, there's literally a wall full of articles of Sikh soldiers all over it, fighting in World War One and Two. I was like, man, you live in a hot pot of culture in London, and you're fucking complaining about that. You're not, you know, you're not trying to be outrageous. You're just fucking dumb. You're a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's, and as you said, that like sometimes you feel like it's not necessarily, I didn't even say not done the right way, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's like the intention might be a bit surface level.
Yeah.
Let's say in the beginning it was like, oh, there was a token, and now they go, we'll figure out, we'll put 2 tokens in. Instead of like being like, just tell the fucking true story. Like,
well, exactly.
This is a weird, like, this is my, I'm a bit frustrated with the industry, not the whole industry, but this aspect of the industry where it's like, here's what we'll do. We'll remake a classic story, but we'll twist it. We'll you know, we'll change up the races or whatever. Instead of going, how about we tell those authentic, cool, badass stories?
I think that's where we revolve back to the risk reward factor now.
Yeah, and that's the financial aspect of like, well, we can come up with a whole new character, or
we could just
live action, whatever.
We know what works. I agree. It's finding the right line of like, how do we improve that? How do we, as creative, instill, unfortunately, those people in charge with the money to be like, I can make you a lot of money right now. Trust me, if you just trust me with this new project. And I can't
to
really
be fair, it's not an easy thing to do.
It's not, because and I think where a lot of creative people do lack this is a business aspect to this whole venture we're in. I'm not saying I know, but you know, I grew up with my dad who came over here working his arse off in restaurants for the past 20, 30 years and learning the craft of like how to run a business. I mean, I'm Sikh Punjabi. My granddad was a shopkeeper. People know how to run businesses. I have a slight idea to know actually, like, you know, what's
the kind of problems you'd have.
Yeah. For me in general, like, I know how to tap into our markets to get a South Asian audience, and I know how to do that. And if you want me to write if you want me to try and write a TV show and get a group of people together to write a TV show to get a certain percentage of people in, I can do that for you, because I know how to do that. I just need you to trust me to do that. You know, I can probably I don't know, for example, if you want me to write Aladdin 2, I know how to fucking tap that market. Because even having Guy Ritchie direct Aladdin,
I completely
he directed Aladdin, right, for Disney.
Please tell me there's like 2 Cockney side characters. Like, you're right, Aladdin, what's happening, mate?
I really can't remember, but I wish they did.
Please tell me.
I really wish they did. I enjoyed the film. I liked the film, but it made a billion.
Jafar's just doing coke in the bathroom.
Abu's shooting some guy up in a shop. No, but like, that film alone made $1 billion, and that was just simply because it was a film full of just like brown people and people like me who weren't even interested in it, being like, well, they made Aladdin, let's go see Aladdin. Why not? It's like,
I mean, listen, you have to admit the community is a strong motivator for most of us.
Yeah,
and especially if you felt like the pride of it, and you finally get to see it, you finally get to see it represented. You're like, yes.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like, it might sound mad to say, a film doesn't necessarily have to be an Oscar-winning masterpiece for that.
No,
it doesn't.
No.
But as long as it reflects a certain community, you know, it was the same effect for that. And it was
fucking sorry to interrupt. No, Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
They just they figure out a different way to bring in another demographic. Like that's what that series is about.
That's what people just want, man. You know, it doesn't matter what percentage of population you are. It doesn't matter. You know, just fucking add it in. Like, come on, we live in Glasgow, which is a fairly white city. You know,
it's been changing.
Yeah. However, I know it's changing, but like when you look at friend groups today, my friend group, my best friends I grew up with, I'm still the only South Asian guy. You know, like I said, we're in the arts, right? We're going to have many different people. Not many people have that. You know, I have friends who are mechanics, lawyers. I mean, necessarily maybe depending on certain, like lawyers, for example, might be different now because, well, again, a lot of people in my background are pushed towards those. Those certain careers or whatever, doctors and that. But like, there's not many people that you're going to have who are people of different heritages. There's not, like, because again, it's just the world we live in. It's not a bad thing,
but it's all changing. I mean, and the only reason I know it's changing is based on my Bumble recommendation.
Oh, is that right? What you get?
I'm just kidding. It's been mixing up a bit more, you know.
Oh yeah.
It's not just the Scottish names I'm seeing now.
Okay,
you know?
Well that's good. That's what you want, man. The Bumble's changing.
That's how I know. That's how you fucking forefront of the culture, right,
man? It's just. What was I going with this? I don't know. Fucking Disney hired me, my man. I can make you $2 billion, no ball.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, it's a fascinating thing to watch, and I understand the pushback as well. See, I'm in this weird place where I can understand the pushback. Part of it, not all of it, but part of it when it goes, you're taking the stories that I know and you're changing them.
Yeah.
The simple reason being, I give you 2 examples. The one they made an Attila the Hun film ages ago with Gerald Butler, who played Attila the Hun, right?
That's hilarious.
Dude, we were just happy that someone made a fucking Attila the Hun film. Do you know what I mean? I'm still happy that they made that film.
Yeah.
Right? Hungarians claim a heritage. Some of it is debatable, but like we claim a link to Attila the Hun, right? And the other thing right now they did was The Witcher. And I love The Witcher. And I've loved the books.
Yeah,
played the games.
Yeah.
And they made it, I mean, I don't even mind the main characters, but they made it so American, not even necessarily the cast. The cast is pre-American as well and just Western, but the style of it, and it just lost that Eastern European spirit, and it, as much as it breaks my heart a little bit,
do you think it looked more like a cosplay thing rather than an authentic Eastern European?
Well, they're not a cosplay, it's just because like I loved Harry. I was someone who was skeptical in the beginning. I was like, get Mads Mikkelsen to play. That was originally I was that guy, right? But Henry Cavill got me on board, right? But it's just the feeling of it. It was missing that flavor of, you know, if you're gonna go Eastern European, these are people that have been through a lot of shit, right? But they still laugh about it. There's this very specific, like, dark humor, like a fairy tale, a folk tales can be quite gothic and quite brutal, but there's also warmth to them at the same time. You know, like, you know, we live next to Russia, so we had interesting histories. You know,
of course,
to put it that way. So it just missed that like grit. And as much as I love, and I'm happy that it's being made, at least people are talking and, you know, recognizing and celebrating some part of Eastern European culture, but it's missing that. And
well, maybe that's the other thing as well that stems back to like, it's so hard though because Witcher's already written. It's already in a fucking book.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, surely research into that. I can't really speak on that.
No,
I've not watched it in a while, to be honest. I watched it first because I worked with Anya, who plays Yennefer in it, and I think she was incredible.
Oh yeah, no, she was class.
Yeah, I think she was absolutely. I know she had a lot of worries about it being released, but you would though, because you're eventually going to go into this massive Netflix platform with a huge following from the books and games.
Yeah.
But when I sent this is back ages ago, but I sent a text when I watched the first season, and I just thought you were incredible.
Oh, you worked with it?
Yeah, she was in Peter Gynt.
Oh, class! Yeah. I have a very funny story.
We haven't spoken in ages though. I haven't. Hope we will. If you ever listen to this, really do. I just wishing nothing but happiness for that, because she's genuinely the sweetest person you'd ever meet. Genuinely, very lovely, very.
I had an audition down in London. It was a in-person recall for a big casting director, and I went in and was already like, "Fuck, this is big leagues now." And I go in, and Anya is right there in the waiting room. And a part of me just went, what? I was like, am I about to do a fucking reading with Anya Charlotte? Luckily, that didn't happen, because that would have been a fucking mindfuck.
No, she would be brilliant.
No, she would be brilliant. But I would be like, Jennifer.
Yeah.
But I remember going into the audition room, and the casting director was like, "Hi, Sadis, how's it going?" And I'm like, "I'm okay. I'm just trying to ignore that just happened."
Yeah, that's really cool though.
But yeah, that was class. And bringing it back to the train of thought that I almost lost. It's like I get the pushback I'm trying to say is because like I can feel that of like I have this story I grew up with, and it's getting changed, and I wish it wasn't. So I can understand why some people kind of go, it's changing the stuff we know.
It's such a complicated dynamic because once you enter realms like I'm only talking from an outside perspective, looking in and trying to think it as like if I was a producer or whatever. But when you work for platforms like Netflix and Amazon and you trying to Hulu and trying to make original art, even though you have an international audience, you don't have a specific audience, you have an international audience.
Yeah, and it becomes
you have to be like, how the fuck do we appeal this globally? Because it's easier for films, I think, because films you kind of understand where you're going to walk into. Like for me, I went to watch Avatar 2 right in India, and it was in Hindi, and I was like, of course it's going to be dubbed in Hindi. I mean, it may look odd for me, but it's fine for people watching it in here because that's what they want to watch,
and you're used to it.
But with Netflix, because it is a streaming platform, they're probably just like, we are going to have to incorporate everything for anyone in this world.
Yeah, which is this weird thing that's happening now.
The source material.
100% is this weird thing that's happening. It's quite new. The world is becoming a smaller place, and that means that, like, if you're a streamer that's being streamed all over the world, you don't have a primary market necessarily, and then you're spreading it out. You might say my primary market might be abroad. There's the whole thing of the global majority, and you're having things that are made in the UK, but they're not made for the UK audience in mind first of all. In a weird way, or I don't know, but it's like there's so many moving factors.
It's such a weird realm.
I just wish they told a fucking fantastic story.
No, but I bet though, especially like I guess with anything growing up, like look at video game adaptations. Do you know? I fucking was so buzzing for the Assassin's Creed film, and I watched it and I went, really?
And the talents are great in it. And again, like everyone's in it that's involved is great, but like it lost something. You lose. It's just hard to replicate. Really, I just think it's just hard to. I just don't know how creative people do it. Like to replicate a success from one platform to another. I think on the way you will necessarily have to lose things on the way, but that's fair.
If you lose something, you have to gain something on top of it. And I don't know what the gain is most of the time.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I think we're in this weird place right now where we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
And it's all an experiment, and there's feedback coming in all sorts, and some of it is just trolling. Let's be honest, but. Hopefully there's a way forward of like, okay, let's tell really cool stories and somehow bring. I mean, right now what I'm seeing is that they started doing this thing where instead of taking necessarily a historical character, they'll take a historical genre but make it a fully fictional thing. So like Bridgerton, right? It takes the classic, the whole, what you call it? It's not the. You know what I mean? There's the classic, princesses and fucking dresses and all that, like the costume period drama, but instead of being this is a historical character, we take that vibe but we make it appear to a global audience by making it.
And I think that's probably a really good example, because one is, I haven't seen it but my mum has and she loves it, so she loves it. That means it's a very good show, but like from what I gather, it's a very production wise very like, what's the word? Very well written, well produced show.
Yes,
managed to be a hit. My mum keeps bugging me to try and get on that. She's like, why aren't you?
I know someone who's on it.
Yeah.
I one of my acting coaches. Am I about to butcher his name? Please, no, Sam Phillips. There we go. I remembered him. He was one of my acting coaches. He's in one of the last seasons.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's just. Also, there's so much out there. Like, you literally just pick anything. And and I try not to think about it too much. Because once you do, you go on a whirlwind of like, what the fuck is right and what's not right. You know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sometimes I'm just like, you know what, I'll just get the tapes through. I'll allow the people who are smarter than me in these possessions to deal with it later. You know?
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. It just, again, to like kind of fully paint the picture. On the other hand, you have to consider that British and Western American culture has been exported for so long that it's kind of become other people's culture in a way as well.
Yeah.
So guess what? They want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So you can't be like, well, why are these people coming and showing up in my culture when you've been literally selling it to them over and over again?
Yeah. Well, that's
they
why
become your consumers.
That's why people immigrated. You know, that's why people go to America and like come here. You know. You can't be the British Empire for so long and tell fucking India that your country's so shit, you should come over here, and then you end up can't afford India anymore, but you need cheap labour, so you tell the Indians come over, and they get angry at us for coming over.
Yeah,
well, you told us it was great, and you told us we can get work, so we're here and we're doing the work, and you can't say that about, you know, it was this, mate, it's always been the same. I had a conversation, it happened with like when the Irish came over, because you know they were forced out of the country because of not a famine but of theft of their food, you know, and it was it's the same with Italians when Italians people came over, and then it became us, and then again it's the same thing with the Eastern Europeans. Brexit, it's over and over again. It's always a target, but I think people are getting smarter to it now. And luckily with the rise of social media, or however you think of it, there is more eyes on people and more accountability on people in powers who talk shit and like to insert blame onto a minority group, which isn't factually true anymore, which goes back to the class thing. The biggest issue isn't a racial thing or a gender thing, it's a class thing, especially in this country. Britain, the British, whatever, government, whatever, the mentality has always been like a divide and conquer one. It's so much easier. Someone taught me that racism isn't a working class invention, it's an upper class invention, trickled down. You know,
was that the one thing that actually managed to trickle down?
Yeah, exactly. That's, you know, the money ain't trickling down, but racism is, you know, and it's so much easier to point blame into a group that doesn't necessarily have a voice. I feel that's why most of the time people get angry when those voices are now getting raised, because it just educates the rest of the people to be like, actually, this is equal. I mean, look at us right now, you know, Eastern European and the Indian sitting down talking on a podcast.
And
no one would have imagined that for the last 10, 20 years to come to this point and being able to talk shit. And
that's been actually one of the eye-opening things for me, is that in ways, maybe not like I relate to British people because of some of the content I consumed as a kid, the same movies, the same series that, you know, they came over from the West, and I can relate to them through that. But lived experience, growing up experience, I relate to my fellow immigrants a bit more, I think, simply because we all had that same chat. You know, your parent, you know, I want to become an artist and actor. No, you're fucking not in this house. Yeah. You know, like, you suddenly, or, you know, just moaning about the food, you're like, what the fuck? Yeah. You said Spice Wars, where's all the spice? You know, like things like that. Like, it just found it very fascinating to me. Like, I've got friends from, like, Ghana, Bermuda, like, all over the world, you know, and we have that in common of, like, we're new. We're, like, the first generation on this island, trying to figure out how we fit in, do we fit in, what we want to take on board.
Are we accepted in certain spaces? Are people only looking at us as the stereotypes as we were portrayed the last 10 how many years, you know? That's always been a battle for me. I tell people I'm a post 9/11 media kid. I grew up with every brown man being the bad guy in the telly.
Yeah. I mean, that's if you want to talk about that. It's like there was a period when it was like post 9/11. You know, it was like the terrorists left and right.
Yeah.
Then now it's with Russia. Now it's becoming the Eastern Europeans again.
And it's always going to. It's unfortunately if things don't change within a higher positional level, that's not going to change for a while. So we have to create survival tactics for it. You know. I'm a lot more like hardened to it now. You know, when I was younger, when someone called me a terrorist, I would be quite upset. You know, or when I started going facial hair, I started to shave because I don't want to look like a terrorist. But now I'm just like, well, it's fucking me. Why would I hide that? Someone does call me that in the street and call me a terrorist. I'll call him a fucking baldy bastard. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't necessarily blame people like that as well. It's what they see, and they're not educated. And instead of turning around and be like, you're a fucking racist bastard, this and that, I'd be like, well, mate, I can sit down and chat to you about it. Give me the opportunity to chat to you, meet me.
Yeah, and sometimes...
then, you know, that's the best way to do it. You know, because I've been in positions where people have been racist towards me, and my friends would be like, oh, we're going to smash the guy, this and that. I was like, no, let me just chat to them. Because they're probably racist because they haven't met someone who's a Scot Indian like me before. And actually sat down and understand like why my granddad came over, why my dad came over. You know, how my parents, they just, you know, they don't, because all they see is reflected on the telly and what racist shit, you know, the media portrays.
Yeah, I mean, I think the onus of everyone's responsible at the end of the day for what they consume and how they educate themselves. But as the media, as an apparatus, does have a responsibility to at least try to portray the people they portray fairly. And, you know, like, my go-to has been, because Romanians get a bad rep, right? Because, you know, anytime you see in the news, and we talked with a bunch of my other friends, anytime you see in the news something Romanian, it's not going to be good news. It's going to be thief or benefit cheat, whatever. But what I like to say is, but remember, on that day, literally hundreds of thousands of Romanians went to work, and that did not make the news because it's normal, because it's not outstanding fucking, it's a fact of life. That's what we do. You know, the reason that cunt made the news is because he stands out.
He stands out, and that's not the guy that reflects your community.
No. But again, you'd wish that people would ask themselves. Again, it's been pretty good, but sometimes maybe I'm just in a slump today, and I'm like, let's bring up the trauma. But
nah, it's fine though. You know, we chat about whatever we want. I mean, this is one thing we'll chat. Say this: when we met, how drunk was I? Also, where did we meet? What party was it?
Originally, we met going up to St. Andrews.
Right.
For it was a read-through.
The read-through of St. Andrews.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of wine there though. That's what I remember.
There was a lovely reception. I remember the reception because I swooped in and picked up the fancy food.
I remember that now.
The finger foods, man, it was class.
Yeah, I remember there was just...
Shout out to finger food.
If I want to shout out anyone, finger food tonight, God bless you.
Free finger food, man. Blessings and kombuchas.
No, I remember there was a lot of red wine though. That's what
there was actually,
It was me, you, Sam Pashby, Daniel Jam, Christian Ortega.
Cecile.
Who?
Cecile Durrell, writer.
Right. Who else?
Well, I mean, it was
Laurie Motherwell. Was he there?
Dude, it's been a couple of years. I'm a bit hazy on my names, but
I can't mind. That was a while ago now. How long ago was that, Sarah?
About 2 years, I think.
It was a while ago, wasn't it?
I think
one of my good pals, Ellen, was supposed to be there that day, but she didn't, and one of our stuff got read out.
I know you read a play about the ice cream wars. Was that not what you read?
The ice cream war. No, the ice cream truck. It actually became a show. My mates Sean and Cammy were in it.
Right.
At the Trab. It actually became a show later on. Didn't manage to go see it. I don't know why. I think I was poor, so I couldn't get a ticket. It's like
the story of the artist.
It was poor. Didn't have enough money. No, I was going to win a stag. Yeah, I was poor because I went to win a stag. My best mate was getting married, and I came back and I was like, I'm fucking poor, so I can't see it.
I mean, I remember Noof was quite was kind to me. Was like, oh, I can get you a standing ticket at the Donmar. But I ended up having to like work on some other stuff for a show I did.
Oh, right.
But I was fucking grateful. But at the same time, I was like, standing ticket to Shakespeare? That's not a fucking...
It's quick, bro. It was a quick show, man. Only an hour and 50.
Only an hour and 50, you know what I mean? Like,
show. I mean, if you can stand for a gig, man, you can stand for that. You know what I mean? That's what I said to people. Because like, you're only paying 15 quid and you're standing up. So that's fine. Stand up
like,
for an hour.
Think about it. You're watching Shakespeare and you're burning calories.
Fucking too right, man.
Bro, what are you talking about?
Come on, get a bit of culture in you. Come on.
Culture in, calories out. Win-win.
Win-win. Unless you've got finger food.
Call back.
There we go. Sit way back into that bad boy.
That was the old yes and tactic we all hear about.
And free wine as well. Let's not lie about that. That was it. And then what did we meet after that?
After that, where did we...
Wasn't...
Yeah, I don't work there. I'm going to have to edit that bit out. But yeah, we met there as well because you came in with...
Oh, yeah. Was it in...
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you came in with Ellie
and Sean and Marty.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
And I've seen you around town with a dog. Did I not see you around town in the park?
It was my uncle's dog.
I'm hoping it wasn't a random dog.
It was my uncle's dog, Rugby. Aye, I walk her sometimes. It was Glasgow Green, wasn't it?
Aye.
Yeah. Were you part of a dog walking group?
Oh,
didn't you have a dog?
It was my pal. So me and my pal went. That was a hilarious day.
Yeah.
Me and my pal went to walk his dog. He's got a sausage dog, right? And there's a sausage dog walking community.
That was it.
And the most hilarious.
Oh, because I was like, I remember walking Rugby, and I was like, why the fuck is an army of sausage dogs here? I was like, why?
A regiment. Well, hang on. What would you call an army of sausage dogs?
Fucking finger food. So I'm just going to go back to that, bro. Back again. But I remember that. I was just like, I thought I was tripping out, man. I was like, why is this like a fucking 50 fucking finger dogs, sausage dogs? Who needs to watch me right now? Ruby's purely looking at me like, what the fuck is going on?
It was my pal's dog, and I just went along for the day. We were hanging out, and the funny thing is because we showed up as bros, but they didn't want to assume, and many people thought we were a couple.
That's cute, but
it was hilarious. You had like this old lady, like, so how long have you guys been?
I would have made up all the stories.
And I was the same. I was like, oh yeah, we've been, year and a half, it's been going well,
Imagine you're going to propose right now. Don't tell him.
Imagine the dog runs away, comes back with a ring in his mouth. Nah.
That's good though. If you have a sausage dog, right, sign up to this fucking regiment of fucking sausage dogs and propose to your partner that way.
Oh, Sergeant Wiener. Sergeant Sausage, whatever you want to call it.
You don't have to tell me it was in your Bumble bio as well, bro. Come on.
Alright, man. Alright. Oh, that was a good laugh. That was a good laugh.
Thanks.
I guess the only thing left to ask now is what is the ambition for the future, the takeover?
Have enough money to go see Sean's next show. Have enough money to go see Sean's next show.
Good shout.
I don't know, dude. I just wanna like, this year I got a lot of stuff to figure out. What to do. See where it goes. See, I'm not really a planner. I don't know if you could tell this about me, mate. Kind of fall into shit here and there.
I mean, the fact that you ended up my +1 at the stand was a giveaway.
Yeah, that was it. That was good. Yeah, exactly. I just rock up to places and hope for the best. But yeah, just see where it goes, and I don't know, man. Just try not to pressure yourself. Yeah, try and enjoy the downtime a little bit more. I've been busy, luckily, but I think being back around family and friends again is good. And the rugby's on right now, so that's fun.
You're a rugby lad?
Yeah, to right. Yeah.
Nice.
Did you watch Romania in the World Cup?
Is Romania in the rugby in the World Cup?
So,
no.
They got in for a technicality. I think Spain was in it originally, but they couldn't qualify because they had an ineligible player. And then Romania stepped up, bro.
For the rugby?
Yeah, you were possibly in the hardest pool to play in.
See? us Romanians will do the jobs that nobody else will do.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, we'll get beat.
I think we put like 80 points on you or something like that. But you guys came out with spirit. Fucking spirit, man. Do you know what I mean?
I love how we ended up being Scotland in this scenario. Like, we lost, but we fucking, we could have lost a lot worse.
Fucking spirit, mate. Do you know? You just got to try against Ireland, man. Do you know what I mean?
Were we fighting against India? Playing against India, sorry.
No, not India.
Scotland.
You had South Africa, Ireland.
Oh yeah, God, I know that.
And us, and who else? I forgot. To be honest, trying to forget that World Cup.
Yeah, I remember because my pal posted something about South Africa playing Romania, and South Africa was playing Ireland, and they were a bit worried. I was like, next week you're playing Romania. You think you're ready for Romania, fam?
They were. It's like me.
I mean, they did win the whole thing.
I wish I could have been kind, but yeah, they were, man.
In hindsight, they were ready.
They were very ready.
Romania just trying to steal the ball. Like, no, you can't call it that. Call it something else.
But you guys had a banging strip as well. It was like, not for this World Cup, it was ages ago, because I wanted to buy it. But you couldn't buy it anywhere. But it was like a
strip. Or you mean the players are undressing, or no?
No. That's for the after show, brother. That's after when the 80 points have been put on them. No, it's it was like this fucking cool I can't even remember what it was, man. But it was this cool multicolored like fucking design. It was dope as fuck, bro.
I mean, knowing Romania, it would be along the lines of red, yellow, and blue.
Nah, but I need to find this. Can I find? I'm finding for you.
Yeah, go on. Like fucking.
This is Romania. Okay.
I'm culturally educating myself.
Right. The Romanian. What was it? Romanian. What did I say? That's so weird. Romanian.
We're gonna go to commercials. See you in a second.
Mate, I won't be able to find it. Oh, it's gone. It's gone.
Send it to me after.
I'll find it and send it to you. But it was dope as fuck, bro. I really wanted it. I really can't mind. Actually, but this year's strip wasn't too bad as well. That was the strip you guys had this year.
This year, okay. I mean, just the classic.
It's classic. Just classic. That's what you get for your school uniform.
Pretty much.
That's what you get, Romania.
I actually was going to ask you one more question.
Go for it.
I'll let you get on with your life. Okay. I know you're a hard-working man who needs his rest.
Got 9 to 9 tomorrow, baby.
I know. I was going to ask you, where you're at right now, looking back, what's the one lesson as an actor, as a professional, as a person, you wish you had learned sooner?
Nah.
In the business, or what?
Patience, probably a lot of patience. It's a marathon, not a sprint. There's going to be times where you're just not going to hear anything, which is fine, and you just got to learn to be patient, and things will come. When I was doing Moorcroft, right, I didn't know what I was going to do after the tour, and one day I got a I had to zoomed for the Macbeth, flew down when they saw me, and then didn't hear from them for 3 weeks, and I was just assumed didn't get the job. And then the day we were about to open in Stirling, that's when I got a phone call from my agent saying they want you, and that gave me 3 weeks to find a place in London. So you just don't know.
God, I remember the story on Instagram.
Yeah, I was
help a brother out.
Freaking out. But it's just, this game is a patience game, and as long as you mentally, physically can stick out of it. But if you do generally come to a point where you're just exhausted, you do need to take a step back, then there's no shame in that at all.
No.
Because it doesn't mean that's it forever. You can always go back. Always, the door's always, even though it's difficult to get through, the door will always be there for you. I'd hope anyway.
I mean, sometimes you have to kick it in, but it's not shot. It might seem true, but it's not.
Yeah, and just look after yourself mostly, and surround yourself by good people that care about you and love you for who you are, not your successes, but they are for your woes too, I'd say. Yeah. And a lot of booze, brother. A lot of fucking, you know what I mean, man? Fucking lot of pints, bro. Lot of pints, my man. That's how I get through it. That's the fucking honest answer there, mate.
You know what I love? Self-centering, meditation, and a shit ton of alcohol.
A shit ton of tequila, bro.
Thank you so much for your time, bro.
Thanks for having me, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Cheers, bro.